Hello and welcome to the Orange County Taxpayers Association OCTax Talk. I'm Carolyn Kavecci, CEO and President of OCTax, and we are pleased to have with us today Jared Deaver, the Director of Communications for the Orange County Vector Control District. Welcome, Jared.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you here. Okay, so tell me, how does one get into the vector control business? What is your background?
So, and you kind of fall into this business. I was working my way through college as a seasonal employee for Northwest Mosquito and Vector Control District out in Riverside County. Okay. It was a great gig for the summer. It was a lot of independence. And when I graduated, I applied for the job of Public Information Officer. I got it, and as I say, I got bit.
It's really not a good joke.
19, yeah, I know. It's a little corny.
Yeah.
But 19 years ago, yeah, and here
Wow.
I am. And moved to Orange County Vector Control about 6 years ago as our Director of Communications.
Interesting. All right, so let's talk about what a vector is. I know there's confusion sometimes out. I read it on some of the community blogs. If someone has a possum, someone will put in, call vector control. And possums are not vectors.
Right.
So let's talk about, what is a vector?
So clearing the air with vectors, we're vectors.
Okay.
The actual definition from the California Health and Safety Code is an enormously broad definition of what a vector actually is. It's any animal or insect that causes human discomfort or impacts your health in any way, shape, or form. So that includes us.
Okay.
I can be annoying to you and be technically classified as a vector.
Okay.
Opossums, coyotes, snakes, spiders, those are all vectors.
Really?
Yeah, so that's the reason why red imported fire ants fall under the designation of a vector. But we use a simpler definition.
I'm about to say, it's a smaller group that you deal with.
Right.
Okay.
So we're specifically tasked with the control of a couple of these vectors that are most problematic in our communities and cause the most amount of public health issues.
Okay.
So we use terminology like it's a carrier to help clarify that for the public. These are carriers of disease. So we do mosquito control, we have a red imported fire ant program, we have a very large rodent education program specifically for roof rats, and we do filth flies as well, and then a host of different tick-borne diseases that we monitor for as well.
Okay, but possums, if someone has a possum, you tend not to go out.
So a great question. They carry fleas, and fleas are vectors. So they're the vehicle for one of the vectors that we're concerned with.
Okay, so do you go out on possum calls?
We will certainly provide education to the homeowners about possum exclusion from their property to help reduce the risk
Cover
of something.
trash cans, don't leave the dog food outside, things like that. Okay.
Getting rid of harborage, because they do transmit a very serious disease in Orange County. It's flea-borne typhus. It reemerged in the county in 2006, and in many years subsequent to that, we have more cases of flea-borne typhus than we have West Nile virus.
Really? Okay, so what are you all doing about that in particular? That particular disease?
So for flea-borne typhus, it's really about community engagement. Can I convince enough of your neighbors to clean up their property, maintain their properties in ways that it doesn't bring wildlife in and or collection of feral animals? So if you're encouraging feral cats, possums, and otherwise, you are directly exposing and creating risk for your neighborhood.
Okay, well, it's interesting because and maybe, I don't know if this is going to do, but the county has policies for feral cats. They don't like to pick them up and take them other places. So is that kind of a conflict with what's going on at your district, or are you working together with the county on that?
We've been working very closely with the county healthcare agency and as well with the animal care agency. Our policies are in line in terms of our public health mission and objectives. However, we diverge a little bit when it comes to the collection of animals and then the placement of animals back into the environment.
Right.
So the policies have changed for animal care recently for a TNR program. So they do trap, neuter, release.
Right.
So if you trap an animal on your property, you bring it to animal care, what they're going to do is they're going to neuter that animal.
Right.
They're going to clip the ear and then they're going to return it to where it came from.
Okay.
So as far as we're concerned, that's a great
slowing the population growth down.
Possibly, yeah. So you may mitigate the growth of that population, but you have put one of the animals of concern for us that carries those fleas back into the environment. Right.
Interesting. So mosquitoes. Let's go back then to mosquitoes. West Nile became a huge thing for a while, but so mosquitoes, it's a lot of what you do. So what is your mosquito abatement program?
So our mosquito abatement program is probably our most comprehensive program and constitutes the greatest amount of our work. And that is because it causes the most amount of human disease, and death in this county. We've had a couple of back-to-back epidemic years recently. In 2014, 15, and 16, we've seen the greatest numbers of West Nile virus than we've ever seen since its introduction in 2004.
Okay.
So our program is comprehensive. It's based in really the components of our entire district is the Integrated Vector Management Program. So we do control, chemical control, but we do a lot of surveillance and source reduction.
Right.
And we work with our communities to eliminate sources on their property, to eliminate that what we call micro-breeding sources.
Yes.
And then we focus largely on the macro-breeding sources, the very large sources. Underground water conveyance systems,
Okay.
storm drain systems, water retention basins,
Right.
gutters that have fallen into disrepair. So each one of those programs has an allocated and dedicated crew to go out
Okay.
and constantly survey for mosquitoes and abate them when they're found.
Okay, and it's fascinating. Mosquitoes can grow in like almost nothing.
Yeah, and so our native mosquito species really need very, very little water to breed in. A thimbleful of water
Yes.
is just fine for a couple mosquitoes to complete their
Amazing.
life cycle. Our invasive mosquito species, our new invaders, if you will, and new threats to our public health need less water.
Okay, you know what? I even heard that sometimes the water at the cemeteries.
Yeah, cemetery urns.
Cemetery urns are a big source of mosquito problems.
They are, and we work very closely with the cemetery district
Okay.
in ensuring that their properties are properly maintained, and then also the privately held cemeteries, we work with them as well to make sure their maintenance schedules are cycled, and also their watering practices are appropriate so they don't fill up those urns.
Okay, now you have a mosquito-eating fish program. Do I remember that correctly?
We do.
All right, so talk to me a little bit about that, and where would those fish go? How would someone get a fish if they wanted some?
We're very, very proud of our mosquito fish program, only because it's expanded recently
Okay.
into becoming more self-sustaining, where we don't rely on wild populations of mosquito fish to plant around the county. We've actually recently invested in a rearing facility on our property where we can now really grow lots of mosquito fish that
Wow.
are healthy. We genetically profile them. We know if there's any parasite loads.
Okay.
So we're putting out these brilliantly healthy, gorgeous fish out there that are helping us control mosquitoes.
Okay, so where
throughout
are
the
they
county.
going?
So we put those in closed water systems. So it's
Okay.
really important for the public to understand. We get a lot of requests. Can you come out and put mosquito fish in the stream behind my house because
Right.
there's pockets? No, we cannot.
Okay.
They're a non-native species, and so we will come out and we will put them in your swimming pool,
Okay.
or in other water bodies that are not going to connect to a blue line
Gotcha.
stream of waters of the U.S.
Okay, koi ponds,
Sure.
things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a cost for that, or
There is no cost.
you just
and
come out and put them in?
We do.
How many? Do you know off the top of your head how many? I mean, it's a tough question.
No problem.
Throw this at you. How many mosquito fish are you putting out in Orange County waters?
In a given year, right around 35 to 45 pounds. It doesn't
Okay.
sound like a lot.
They're small though, so that
but
probably
they're
is a
very
lot.
small fish.
Okay.
So that actually ends up being somewhere in the order of 15 to 20,000
That's
fish,
amazing.
if not more, on peak
Okay.
years. So this year we had a lot of rain.
Yeah.
We're going to be distributing probably twice that amount this year.
Wow. Okay, so the West Nile, I know, is a problem with their bird population, and I seem to remember a couple of years ago, you had a big push about if you find a dead bird, a dead crow, you guys come out and get it, or you can bring it in. Are you still doing that program, and what are you finding with those birds?
Right. So the dead bird program is still vital for early indication of West Nile virus.
Okay.
So we always encourage our residents, when you're out in spring and the
Okay.
early months of summer, that's where we really need your eyes and also your telephone.
Okay.
When you see a dead bird, please do call the district. We will come out and pick it up if it's viable for testing. We
Right.
can't send crew out if
Totally.
it's
Yes.
a frisbee.
Right. Or if it's been out for a while. Totally get it, yes.
Yeah. So if it is viable for testing, we need that data.
Okay.
It tells us when the virus becomes active in our neighborhoods and our communities and where it's active.
Okay.
So we can then reallocate our resources there to help suppress it early in the season.
Okay, and definitely West Nile is a problem, and it's going to continue to be a problem for Orange County residents.
Tragically so.
Yeah.
2014 was the largest year on record for West Nile virus. Orange County, we were the epicenter for West Nile virus in the country,
Wow.
not just in the state.
Wow.
We had 280 human cases, 9 human deaths in a single season.
Wow. Okay. Well, besides mosquitoes, I know the red fire ant started to become a huge issue. Maybe about a decade ago, we started to see it in California, starting to creep in. So where are we now with that program?
So the red imported fire ant, we took that under our auspice in 2004.
Okay.
It was defunded from the state,
Right.
so we were going to lose that protection. And so we took it under our wing, and we maintain it to this day.
Okay.
What we do is red imported fire ants are incredibly difficult to treat. We don't want homeowners treating them.
Right.
We will simply move those colonies around and exacerbate the problem.
Right.
So our crews go out and they do broadcast treatments in large green belts and green spaces. But then we have a neighborhood crew as well that goes door to door and systematically eliminates these where they're found. What we've been able to do is largely push them out of South Orange County where they were introduced and where they were heaviest distributed. Now they're mostly North Orange County, and we find them in pockets. But I will say it as a moment of clarity for the public. There's no such thing as eradication. So what we're doing in our services are to suppress them so they have the least amount of impact to human health.
Right. Well, and that is a big thing. If people go to states like Texas, where they're really almost out of control, it is not a great way to live. We're used to green belts here and being able to put blankets down and do picnics, and we haven't had to deal with it like that. I think a lot because of the Orange County Vector Control District.
Absolutely, and agencies that didn't continue the effort of treating for red imported fire ants, they are overrun.
Yeah.
And we have a saying in vector control that it's called surrendering your backyard. And these invasive mosquitoes, that's another threat to the enjoyment of your own property.
Right.
Red imported fire ants, very much the same way. If I can no longer let kids go out and play in your backyard for fear that they're going to be bit and stung by these invasive species, well, then there should be an agency for that. There should be somebody that comes out and provides that service.
Well, and I will say, you have come to my home, not you personally, but the Vector Control District has come to my home. I was able to peg a spot and knew right away what it was, and came out and took a couple treatments. But while you were there, you tipped over some water vessels too that they said we had a problem, found a wheelbarrow that was up. So did a whole, it was obviously very, very good. So rats are another issue that you deal with. That not one of your largest issues, though. Really, I would say West Nile, the mosquitoes and the red imported fire ants are probably your biggest. But you do a lot with rats. Do you get some calls from that?
We do, and certainly our program for roof rats was much larger prior to the introduction of West Nile virus. Because prior to 2014, we really didn't have any disease transmission to speak of in the county. We were largely a suppression of pest species. But the dynamic has wholly changed for our agency. Now that we are looking at West Nile virus, every year having epidemics transmission of West Nile virus, but now the new invasive mosquito species bring with them about 4 to 5 new threats.
Really?
Dengue fever, yellow fever, chikungunya, Zika virus, and they transmit West Nile virus, and not even your pets are safe. They transmit dog
So
heartworm.
Zika virus, there were a lot. We heard a lot about that in the news a little while ago. So have you found that yet?
No, so we had approximately 30 import cases of Zika virus last year. And prior to October of 2015, there was no recognition of these invasive mosquito species that can transmit the virus in Orange County. So unfortunately, we've joined those ranks.
All right. So if the mosquitoes weren't here, we didn't have a problem with it. But the mosquitoes are here now.
Exactly.
And so we are having to treat with that. That's definitely something that everybody needs to then be very aware of, especially after all this rain.
Yes. Yeah, and these mosquitoes are absolutely brilliant at breeding in very small quantities of water.
Wow, amazing. The rats, then, you're concerned about what they're providing. It's because of the fleas that are on them. Is that where you get the disease?
So, and I love factoids, and I love educating the public about misnomers. Rats tend to be very clean.
Oh, interesting.
Rats are fastidious cleaners. They're constantly grooming themselves. So any ectoparasite, like a rat or a mite or something, a flea or a mite,
they're going to get it.
They're going to get it. So they're not implicated in a lot of disease transmission anymore at all.
All right.
So they're simply a nuisance,
Right.
and certainly can cause a lot of property damage,
Yes.
and can be a threat for fires and
Yes.
things like that. So they still carry
Interesting.
all of those risks.
Okay.
And there's new regulations from the state and from the feds in terms of the types of chemicals you can use to control
Yes.
rodents as well.
Okay.
So our set of tools that we have to encourage the public to use has been reduced as well.
Thank you very much. I can see that.
And so what it has to come down to compliance and the partnership between our agency and each individual neighborhood that is experiencing an
Right.
outbreak of say, prolific
Okay.
rodent breeding. Every resident has to be on board with those recommendations. Otherwise, you cannot
Yeah,
resolve
you
the
can't
problem.
know one's that. So you're governed by a board of trustees. So how is the board selected?
So we have the largest board in the
You do,
county,
okay.
and we love our board. It's big,
Okay.
and we get a lot done.
Okay.
We have 35 trustees.
Okay.
We have 34 members. That's one appointee from
So
each of the 34
every city
cities,
has a member. Okay.
and then an appointee from the county at large.
Okay. And so do cities do it differently then?
It is quite different. Each city, you have your choice. You can either appoint somebody who is an elected member on your
City
council,
member, mayor. Okay.
or any member who is a resident of your city.
Okay, interesting. Fascinating. And you meet once a month?
We do, third Thursday of every month.
Okay.
At 3
So how are all of these services being paid for?
Great question. Our budget is comprised of a very, very small portion of your ad valorem property tax.
Okay.
And then we have 2 benefit assessments
Okay.
that we have created over the course of the last 20 years.
Okay.
And so those benefit assessments, they can go up and down depending on our needs as an agency.
Okay. So a property tax bill, basically. That's
Exactly.
where anyone who's going to see where the money's going, they're going to find it on their property tax
Exactly.
bill. And it just says Orange County Vector Control. They could look for it that way.
It does, and you'll actually see it broken out by assessment district number 1 and assessment district number 2.
Okay, interesting. All right, great. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. A lot of interesting information. And you can, if you want to, you give out alerts to taxpayers. People, you can, if they want, they can sign up for alert. They can go to your website.
Absolutely. So sign up for our weekly newsletter that we do throughout our summer months,
Okay.
our peak mosquito breeding months.
Okay.
And that way you'll know what the district is doing, any threats to your community,
Okay.
and that's a really direct conduit for receiving our information.
Okay. And if somebody wants, if they have a concern potentially about mosquitoes, they can call, somebody will come out from the Vector Control District, take a look at whether it's a red fire ant mound or mosquito problem, things like that.
Yeah, and we're all taxpayers in this county.
Right.
Please use your services.
Okay.
Call us when you have a problem before you pick up the phone and call Private Pest Control. Oftentimes we can resolve that problem for you.
Okay.
And it also gives us a hint as to where these issues are occurring in the county, which is
Okay.
very important to
Yeah,
us.
you can peg in a flag it where it is. So great.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Jared, for being with us so much. You can get more information about the Orange County Taxpayers Association, about our taxpayer events, our membership opportunities. Sign up for our Proposition 13 update newsletter by going to our website, OCTax.org, or join us on Facebook at the Orange County Taxpayers Association. And we'll see you next time here on OC Tax Talk.